so it's Christmas break. Yvonne she works, but you know, I have the week off with her. So today's plan is to put up the backsplash. We have a bunch of tiles left over from when we did it at our old house, and Yvonne likes those, so we will do the same thing. It'll be a subway tile kind, where you split them side to side. But the first thing I've got to do is clean up all the Christmas. All right, so now that everything is off of the countertop so I can get to the backsplash, the next thing to remove are the outlet covers. And when they put these in, they didn't do a great job because they're missing screws. They're tweaked. Some are inset too much, like the switch here. So I will be fixing those as I go along too. And it doesn't have to be rewired, they just need to be flush. All right, so very simply, all I do is I just unscrew these. Now, if you ever go to an auction and you do a lot of home improvements, pick up some of these. These things are great to store extra screws and stuff in. They're nice and deep. They don't tip over. And they're always going for super cheap. We've got quite a few out in the pole barn that we use throughout projects. And the nice thing is you don't end up losing your screws. One down, a few to go. Now the next thing I like to do before we get started, putting mastic on the back of these and sticking them on. I do have a laser level that I bought. They're fairly inexpensive, and if you're gonna do a project like this, you should have one, especially this long of a run. And I know, because this house is not very square or level because it's old, that this part does dip down. So when I have the laser level on, I can put a shim underneath this spot to kind of blend it in. But the one thing I wanted to do, or I have always done, is I will just set tiles up here or down here. And the reason being is when I get to the other end, I'm hoping to have a full tile. If I don't, I want to make sure that when I cut a tile, that I have at least half or more showing on one side or the other. And when I put the staggered ones on, if you have a full one, you're going to have exactly a half on the other side. And I can adjust my spacing on this because this is a very long run. It's probably 14, 15 foot long. So I should be able to adjust my spacing to get that full length. All right, so I got them all laid out. You can see it's roughly got a 1/16 of an inch gap. And like I said, I'll be able to adjust those as I go along to make sure it stays the same. But the good news is I got down to the end here, and it's about a half a tile. So this is gonna work out great. There will be a half tile dying over here on this side, and then I'll be able to use it on the other side down there to start the next row and work my way back and forth with it. All right, so I got the laser level set to the right height. I've never used it before, so I don't know why it blinks, but I can still work with that. So like I was saying, this side, you can see it's right at the top of the tile. Down here on the far end, it's a little bit above it, well, quite a bit above it. So this whole side sinks down. And in the center here, you can see it dips down too. So unfortunately, I will have to bring them all up to this line to make it level, but it's gonna make the countertop look uneven. So I will try to keep it level, but also drop it just a little bit and try to make it up on each course that I go up. I'm hoping that because the window sits here, that'll mask a lot of it. We'll see. All right, so I have a trowel. It's a notch trowel. I don't know if you can see that. This is the side that I use. Now, I know a lot of people say you put the mastic all down all the way across the whole thing and stick them on. Yvonne and I found that we have better luck if we just butter the back of it and stick it in place, and then put a spacer, do the next one, and work our way down. So that is what I will be doing. These are the things also I didn't show. They're little spacers, and what they do is give you the grout line you're looking for. All right, so I have the first row down. Other than the end piece, I have to cut that. I've got the wet saw out in the garage. I will show you cutting that. So this first one is a little bit off. Like I said, I will have to try to compensate for that as I go along. So what I'm finding out is this corner of our cabinet is just, I mean, it's probably a 1/4 inch too high, which doesn't seem like much, but it'll show if I don't spread it out throughout the whole process. So I had to call for the Ginger backup to give me a hand. My back had it for the day.
I'm working on my calves though.
Oh yeah, she's got to be on her tiptoes for this one.
I don't mind helping, I'm happy.
But, as you can see, it's night. But one day, the whole back tile is done.
And you did most of it by yourself, while I was working on other things for the other channel, so.
Oh, don't give me all the credit.
I will. Give credit where credit is due. Comes the messy part. Mixing up the grout.
Just a little bit more.
We're a white on white type of people. It's all about seeing the decor.
Well, we're not professionals either, so.
That we're not.
Watch it for the content, not the advice.
You just gonna mix it until it feels right.
Well, on the box it does kind of tell you what to mix, but I didn't want to mix the whole thing because it doesn't need it.
Yeah, yeah.
But let's say mix for 5 minutes and my arm's gonna get really tired by then.
Oh, you needed your mixer.
Yeah.
And Tater's doing his morning exercises. In case you didn't get enough Tater in.
Did them how many more tiles we still have?
No. We're showing how cute Tater is. He's like, I can't grab anything. Oh, it's so frustrating. So yes, Chris wanted me to show you. After the project, this is how many more we have left. Not just that, y'all. This is
what we thought we had left.
yeah, this is what we should have had left with the first project when they sold them to us. We still have 3 more full boxes. So we could probably do another project. She sold us enough to do like a tub tile surround.
Well, that's the whole bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh, one more project we could do with them.
Alright, so we've gotten to this point. Yvonne has volunteered to help because it's kind of on a time sequence. You've got to hurry up and put it on before it hardens and wipe it off before it hardens. But unfortunately, I've still got just that little bit to go. And I've used up all the grout, so I got to go mix just a little bit more. Alright, so now we've got all the grout in. Turned out pretty well. I've still got to buff, which all that is just taking a towel and wiping over the surface of it. So the next thing will be tomorrow, after the grout completely dries, is to caulk everything. And then we do have the sealer, and what we found that does is you put it especially like here or where you're cooking, because grout is porous. So this actually puts like a little, almost like nail polish on it, and it'll keep it so it's smooth and you can just wipe off any of the debris that gets onto it. All right, so now it's on the buffing stage, which these actually are pretty smooth, but I can still feel little spots on them. So like I said, all you do is you take a terry cloth towel, beach towel, and just rub it over it. And that pretty much brings the grime out. And I don't know if you can see it. All you're doing is just cleaning off the tiles, and then you can fine tune some things as you're going along. Also have the outlet covers to put back on.
Oh, now the fun part. Oh, it's all fun. It's all fun and games. The caulk. Unfortunately, there is the hugest gaps because either the countertop wasn't laid even, set even, or it settled uneven. Oh, reuse that. That's a lot. Don't waste that.
Actually, use it in the monster.
Use it in the
monster.
the Grand Canyon over there. Yeah, it's crazy to think like, so this was level. So if you would have done like level here, like you said, if you would have tried to start at that corner and leveled it, you would ended up with like what, a half of tile. You would have had to cut that tile, which would have looked weird. But sooner or later, you can tell we would like to get new countertops. But baby steps, so yes. So it's gonna take a couple. You almost could put a gasket in there. It's so large, but we'll see how it works. Chris said this is very easy to use. It's just a sealer. It prevents the grout from getting stained up. So you just take the cap off and you just run it across. Just making sure that it gets enough in there. Grout is porous. Unfortunately, our grout may be a little bit chunky, only because I think it's because it's a few years old. But that's okay. It gives it that old-timey look. That not, I just perfectly just laid this. You know, you have to look at stuff that way, that way sometimes. I have enough on my counter space that I'm not worried about a little bit of a chunky, not perfect grout. So I have one last step, and it's this stuff, which I've already sealed in that grout, but this is like an extra step of sealing the grout in, especially when you're doing white. I don't want it to change colors. And since at my sink I rinse a lot of paintbrushes, I want to protect what Chris just spent a day doing. So you take a damp cloth, and this has like up to 20 years. We did it on our last backsplash, which was exactly like this. And you just wipe it on, especially pushing it into the grout. And so it's just another level of protection for the grout not to change colors. And once you have it on, just wipe off the excess, because of course the tile is shiny, it's not going to absorb it in. We're just really trying to protect this grout. Squeaky clean. This is just a regular old paper towel just to wipe off the excess. Like I said, we did it in our last house with the same type. I mean, we used everything we used in this one, and I never had a problem with the grout staining. So I do think those little extra steps at the end matter. So I definitely appreciate Chris taking the time to do a backsplash. We had all the supplies. They were all left over from our old house when we did that backsplash. I like the subway tile. I like the classic clean white look. And it really pops your accessories of how you're going to add your decor in. Our grout, maybe I've been a little bit old, but you know, it does not bother me. Sometimes there's nothing wrong. I mean, everybody puts so much pressure on themselves all the time to have this perfect job. And I mean, unless you really like get up close and personal, you don't see the chunkiness. It's just a little chunky, but that is, I don't know, it's character, you know. If we all did everything perfect and we all did everything the same, how boring would that be? How boring would that be? And of course, we're always going to critique hard our own job that we have done. So yes, I absolutely love it. It'll be easier now to wipe down, because when I was doing my cleaning of my paint brushes, and of course it was splattering on there, it was getting onto the paint, which then the paint was staining because it wasn't made really, it wasn't that kind of paint that you could just easily wipe off. The subway tile in my old house where I cleaned my paintbrushes, I didn't have any problem there whatsoever. Just wipe it off after every time I cleaned brushes if I splattered it onto the wall. So that was perfect. So yes, I do think that end sealers really do matter, especially if you're going to go white on white, which is what I want to do. I know a lot of people do color grout and stuff like that. I don't know if you have to worry about that as much, because it's already colored. So thank you for watching today's video, hanging with Chris and I as he shared the process. If you're interested in doing your own DIY backsplash, it's the same kind of process. I know a lot of people smear it right on the wall, but I think that's my nail tech in me of not wasting product. You know, like, yeah, I feel like we didn't have any tiles fall down. We didn't have any tiles at the last house fall down. So I guess it was plenty. So do you see that big board? That was my Christmas present from Chris. I was antiquing one day, one of our local antique malls, not the antique mall we were in, and I'm like, I sent him a picture of that, and I'm like, you know, I'm dreaming of this this old breadboard. It is absolutely gorgeous. It was not cheap. It is old. It is primitive. I love the metal on it, and I always had two like red reproduction. They were more like that very light balsam wood board. They looked okay. But with my antiques, I really wanted something. That's why I always say, you know, when we are collecting and we're looking, you know, buy what you can afford until you find that true piece like this that I've wanted to replace it. We don't all start off with this amazing collection right off at first. We kind of do filler pieces and we keep upgrading as we go along. But yes, that is a wonderful new addition to our kitchen, including the backsplash. And then my other new addition, if you did not see my social media, was Alex found a campfire, a Boy Scout campfire tin, which is probably like 100 years old, if not more, to add into my collection. So I'll share that with you on top of my beautiful Backsplash. Yes, if you are new to the channel, I collect marshmallow tins. So my very first marshmallow tins were campfire ones. And then I opened up to the world of learning about the other marshmallow tins. So this is my new one, which is along the lines of the campfire, but it's the Boy Scout edition. And if I didn't stick it off to its side, you would not be able to tell it, or stick it like that on a plate rack, you wouldn't be able to tell what it is because it doesn't have any wording on the side. So luckily I had a plate rack, so I was pretty excited about that. So nope, I'm not quite ready to take Christmas down. Don't worry, I'll share that all with you when I get to that point of how I redecorate. So thank you so much for watching today's video. And as always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. If you would like to become part of our YouTube family, please hit that subscription button along with the notification bell so you don't upload a new video. And we will see you next time, guys. And you can see what we're up to. Bye.